welcome to the Ancient Way. I'm James.
I'm Marlia.
And hood rat things. I should put my hood on too. Then we can be in the.
Have you ever heard that kid that's like, I want to do hood rat things with my friends.
I've heard the term before, but I didn't know it came
It's
from.
Oh yeah, it was a kid that was being interviewed on TV, like local news or
Oh,
whatever.
and he said that on live TV.
Yeah, he was like,
Yeah, that's epic.
I just like to do hood rat things with my friends.
Yeah,
I'm just a hood rat doing hood rat things.
there are some good, um, like just bystanders and people who have been interviewed on live TV, like newscasts, local news and stuff before. There's some funny ones.
Oh yeah, dude. I go
Uh,
troll them sometimes.
oh yeah,
That's my sense of humor.
yeah. And then you have some people that they'll walk by in the background and they'll just turn and look, and they're like kind of surprised that they're on the news.
Oh
That
yeah,
happened to me
so funny.
downtown. I didn't like photobomb the guy, but he had his camera out in front of one of those restaurants downtown. I think Black Pearl is what it's called.
Mm.
Or it might have been Rick's on the Square, but he was out there with a camera. I don't know if he was with the news or if he was doing his own thing, but
Wow.
I had a dream about the Black Pearl. Actually, that
Really?
place, the dream that I mentioned in the last episode. Remember how I said the timing? Like I ran into that specific group of people downtown.
Yeah,
The group that was in my dream, I actually ran into them like a week or two ago.
yeah.
That group of people was going, they were downtown, but they actually ended up going into that place, the Black Pearl,
Hmm.
which is interesting. I don't know what it means. I looked up the black pearl, like what that means, and I can't remember what it was. I want to say
I
it was
don't
a
know.
good thing, but
I don't know why I instantly thought of that movie um by Johnny Depp.
oh yeah, pirates.
Yeah, it wasn't his ship called the Black Pearl or something like that.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's true. Yeah, black pearls are mysterious and rare.
Hmm.
Yeah, interesting.
It is interesting. Man,
But yeah,
have you ever had a dream that you're like, I know that that was so profound and so significant, but I have no idea or how to land that?
hmm
What do you do with
oh yeah.
that?
I don't know. I just sit on it. There's some I've had like within the past 3 years, I've probably had like two or three that are just extremely profound, like some of the most profound experiences that I've ever had.
Hmm.
And I have no idea what to do with them.
Hmm.
And I mean, there's specific ones. I don't want to go into them right now, but there are a couple of them where it's just like the feeling of it has been more real than anything.
Hmm.
And I'm like, is that supposed to? Am I supposed to experience that here, or I don't know. So if I don't know what to do with it, one thing, especially if it's a good one, I'll just read it. I'll read it again, and I'll
Hmm.
just sit in the feeling and experience of it.
Hmm.
And even with some of the good stuff, I think Mike Parsons said this. I think it was him said this recently. He was talking about ushering in that reality of heaven or some of the dreams even that we have, but to sit in it and to actually
Hmm.
cultivate it by sitting in it and reliving it, and just sort of
Hmm.
like, you know, I guess playing in it really, um, being in it.
Hmm.
But yeah, what do you do when you don't know what to do with something?
I always, well, a lot of the time I let it sit.
Hmm
I'll pray into it and ask the Lord, like, to show me if there's anything there. But I don't know. I was just thinking about a few dreams that I've had
Yeah.
that, like, I didn't see them come to pass until like a year later or 2 years later.
Yeah.
in the detail that they were. But then I've had other ones that like, you know, I had a dream that literally laid out like I had a dream, and I guess this was 2 weeks ago. I had a very specific dream about my family
Hmm.
and then the timeline of things. And then the Lord gave me a word, and I didn't know it was connected to my family like a week ago. Um, and then literally both the dream and the prophetic word played out at Thanksgiving.
Mm.
I mean, like in detail.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. Um, but especially when I had it, I didn't know what to do with it. I was like, that's a bizarre dream. Like,
Yeah.
it's interesting. I don't know. I don't know how that rolls. I don't know what that looks like,
Huh.
And so then it was just like, to me, it was one of those things like sometimes you just catch and you watch.
Yeah.
Like, is there anything in my day that ends up like this? Or,
Hmm. Yeah.
you know, keep it open-handed. Because
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
sometimes especially early on with my dreams, I needed a meaning or an interpretation of it,
Hmm.
you
Yeah.
know, to feel like God was talking to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Side note, I found out that there's a lady that came to see me. And this stuff breaks my heart, but she spent like $1,000 to sit with a psychic. Yeah, like this
Wow.
this psychic was charging her $1,000 a session and basically told her life was going to implode, and it was like the most hopeless thing. I was
Wow.
like, yeah, like I can't believe people get taken advantage of like that.
Yeah, that's sad. That is sad. We
So sad.
actually we actually had a request for an ad for the podcast. You sometimes we'll get requests, and it didn't really pay that much, but there was one for a some kind of psychic reading podcast or whatever, which I said no to. But just some stuff could say yes and make some money off of it, but I was like,
Hmm.
rather just not certain things, even if it was like, I don't know. I get weird about that. I'm kind of get stuck in that area of like, if I don't really believe in it, I really don't care to share it.
Totally.
Some stuff, it's like, if it's a, if it's a podcast about crossword puzzles, that's not awful. Maybe we could do that, but if it goes in a different certain direction, I'm not really a fan of it. Anyways,
It's funny. No, I was just wanting to talk about dreams. That was kind of my main thing.
psychics are
I
weird
was
too,
just
though.
curious.
Psychics are interesting as an interesting topic too. I've had a thought come up recently. I don't want to say a situation, but kind of what Daniel was talking about. I feel like this is it's in line with what he was saying, but I feel specific situations and specific people. I can't go into so many details, but I feel like this is upcoming kind of deal. Having, I don't want to say confrontations, but instances where people do that, where they speak. Because what Daniel was talking about last week was speaking the truth, but doing it being from the wrong spirit. You know,
Hmm.
even stuff can come from, even truth can come out of the wrong place or from the wrong heart. And he used that lady and uh, when Paul was walking down the street and this lady was like praising him and stuff like that, basically saying good things, saying things that were true, but doing it out of the wrong spirit. And it was like annoying Paul, and he cast the demon out of her or whatever. Um, but even before Daniel had that message, it's funny that he had it, but I felt like there were going to be certain people that come within the sphere recently or upcoming or whatever that are flowing in that. And I guess just to be vigilant about it.
Hmm.
I guess vigilance is the best word, but
You know, it's interesting. So that thing about it's Acts 16,
hmm
um, is where that story is. But I had actually had a dream that night before Daniel did that message about the organic fruit.
oh yeah, yep,
And I was in a marketplace and I knew what I was holding was organic fruit. And, I'd shared that the last time on this podcast, but
yep, yep,
it was kind of in that vein. But Zach and I really kind of got into that about like things even in your own life can be true. Like it may be true what you're
hmm
experiencing, but if it doesn't have the fruit attached,
yeah,
it's of a different spirit.
yeah,
And there were so many things that we were talking about, like hypothetically, this is just an example,
hmm
but like say somebody has a compulsion to work out,
yeah,
like absolutely, like they're so diligent to work out. It's like, is that true? Yes, that's healthy.
yeah,
But what's the fruit of it? The fruit of it is like you're not okay unless you go work out. So it's like
yeah,
it actually is null and void.
yeah, yeah,
Like it's like you can still do that, you can still make that decision, but what's the fruit?
yeah,
The fruit isn't peace. The fruit is OCD. The fruit is
yeah,
anxiety. The fruit is fear.
yeah,
But I actually, in that same vein, kind of what I was sharing about those dreams just earlier about the Lord giving me a heads up about Thanksgiving. I literally walked right into that,
hmm,
like right into the opposite fruit,
yeah,
um, and things being presented as true.
hmm
It's like, hold on, like I hear what you're saying,
yeah,
but that's not good fruit.
yeah,
Um, so it's just funny that you brought that up
hmm
because I mean I had like face to face encounters with those things with multiple family members.
yeah,
Um, I kind of laughed because I was like, "Am I the problem? Is it
hmm
me?"
yeah, 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 interesting.
Hmm.
But even some of the psychic stuff too, like they can pick up on certain things, you know.
I think we all can.
Oh
I
yeah,
really
of
do. I
course.
think,
They just flow in it
yeah, yeah. I
on
think, but I
purpose.
think,
Yeah,
yeah. To me, psychics are the equivalent to the religious spirit, though.
yeah,
Like, that's the same. The religious spirit that uses discernment,
uh-huh.
I think they use. I think it's the same thing. The psychic
Yeah,
witchcraft, like
hmm yeah,
it all flows from that vein,
yeah,
but it's how to manipulate or make money or for gain or for,
hmm yeah,
at the
yeah,
expense of somebody else.
yeah. I know it. And that is really sad. That is really sad at the expense of somebody else. And it's like they could do the same thing. Like you said, we're all built for it.
Uh-huh.
So
But
it's
you see people that do that, you know, the way that they cast out demons. They try to cast out demons and
yeah,
but it's always at the expense of that person.
I know it. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's true. Yeah. I don't know. I feel that kind of I don't want to say it's confrontation. It feels like a new boss battle. You know, like in
Mm-hmm.
Mario, you get to the end of the castle, you fight the boss. Now we've talked about that before. I don't know. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I feel like I don't know, something coming up. Well, probably, I would imagine, he'll be back on here with a story or something.
I think it's such an opportunity to flex, like
Yeah.
to set, and I don't mean that in like a arrogant way at all,
Yeah.
but like to stand in your power,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
I agree.
because there's such, man, I was talking to somebody about this today. I think there's such a craving for authenticity
hmm
in
Yes,
the
there
earth.
is. There is.
There's such a craving for people to really show up and have real connection.
Yeah.
And as bearers of the light, like we confront the very things that have been robbing people of connection.
Yeah.
And I think like the psychics, like even in that vein, like they very much so rob people of their own connection.
Yeah.
Because you're looking to a middleman, just like a Catholic priest, you're looking to a middleman.
Yeah.
You're trying to find something on the outside to fix this connection
Yeah.
internally. And
Hmm.
yeah, I do. I think it's absolutely a confrontation. It's
Yeah.
a confrontation of light against dark. And
Hmm. You're the third person who has specifically highlighted that authenticity. Uh,
mm,
the word, or you're not even the third, you're like the third or fourth, but that's come up from people that I've talked to over within the past week. And
mm,
yeah, authenticity and the power that that holds of like when it's authentic. This even goes back to when it's from the right spirit, like it has a specific scent and weight to it.
yeah.
Very tangible. But yeah, everybody's supposed to walk in that authenticity, that
Hmm.
realness. There's uh too many masks and safeguards and stuff that we've kind of put in play, and I don't know. But that's been
It
a
does
thing.
feel like a great confrontation between that which is authentic and organic
Yeah,
and that which is not, that which is manufactured or,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I
Well,
think that,
so many of the systems and even just the structures and the
yep.
hierarchy and everything in the world is built to like it's built to where you have to put on that mask in order to flow in it, in order to uh,
Hmm.
I guess navigate it. Even some of the basic stuff, it's kind of built that way. That's how you get promoted in it, a
Oh,
lot
for
of it.
sure.
But yeah, it's interesting. But can you imagine I mean, just the freedom of being authentic.
Hmm.
And you can see people too sometimes. I mean, have you ever had a conversation with a person and it only goes to like a certain point? Like it doesn't go very far. And when you try to wiggle in and get it some sort of depth or something, it's like,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
go get ghosted, and then they just kind of trail off or laugh it
Hmm.
off or whatever. That's kind of how the holidays are sometimes. Kind of how Thanksgiving is. Like you got family and people like that that you feel a kinship to, and even there's like relatability. Like we've been through the same thing, we've had the same sort of stuff. And it's like, but they're not willing to. I don't know. They won't go past a certain point. Uh,
Yeah, man.
I guess because it's scary or vulnerable or risky to them. It's risky, I guess. But
I mean, I do think I, Zach and I were talking about that. We traveled 7 hours
mhm.
um, to go see my family, and we were talking about that like just yesterday. I mean, yesterday I think the trip ended up being like 8 hours or something like that, and so we had a
Yeah.
lot of time to just kind of process. And there was something about it that we were talking about of just like it's so interesting to observe the difference between with zero judgment. Like I
Yeah.
really have no judgment on them, but people who are willing to go and look at their things,
Hmm.
and people who are willing to like feel the hard stuff and
Yeah.
feel the pains of disappointment and feel the anger and
Yeah.
feel the fear and feel the sadness and want to try and move through that versus
Hmm.
people who can't,
Yeah.
and they can't feel it and they're scared to feel it because of a wrong perception.
Hmm. Yeah.
But you look at the fruit of their lives and it's like, okay, that marriage actually looks super fun and playful, and
Yeah.
like I kind of want that. And then you look at this other one and you're like, oh my God,
Yeah.
please don't let me go talk to them because
Yeah. Oh yeah.
like it's gonna be this weird tension and
Yeah.
you know
Hmm.
it's just like, I mean, I was looking to sit right in the middle of it, to be honest, during
Yeah.
all of Thanksgiving. I wanted to go plop myself right in the middle, which I did. I got
Yeah.
myself,
Get shot at.
I did get shot at
Yeah.
several times.
Yeah.
Um, but I wasn't being, it's just interesting. It's interesting when you hold a boundary of like, yo, I'm not gonna partake of
Yeah.
backbiting and gossip and slander and accusation
Yeah.
and it's funny what comes at you when you just won't go there,
Yeah.
you know?
Huh.
Um, when everybody else like that's their only way to connect.
Yeah.
But
Hmm. Yeah. Interesting.
you just see the difference. You see the difference between what is authentic and what is real and what is tangible and contagious and
Uh-huh. Yeah.
but I do feel like at the end of this year there's fires being lit within people.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there'll be some bold choices to make.
Hmm.
Some brave choices to make.
Yeah,
Um,
that would ignite passion within people and
yeah.
ignite excitement and ignite
Yeah.
an expansion of their vision and their purpose and their destiny and
And it's almost like it just a little bit goes like a super long way. It's like just that little bit of wiggle room of freedom of like, oh, okay.
yeah.
Like it takes much, you know?
I woke up one morning to this voice that said, expect things to go your way.
Yeah.
And it was just like, huh.
Hmm.
And then immediately, of course, I opened my email and I got an email from somebody basically telling me the exact opposite message.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
um,
It's
anyways,
funny.
but yeah,
That's kind
it's
of like
just like,
go ahead. I've got a movie analogy.
no, tell me your
I'm
movie
not sure, but it
analogy. I like
applies
it.
to it. We're talking about Pirates of the Caribbean. It's like I'll joke and say I've Jack Sparrowed my way to where I've been or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, but it's like that. That dude's like walking around and he's like drunk or impaired the whole movie, but he's like dodging cannonballs that he's even unaware of. Stuff just flying past him, you know, when he's on the ship and stuff like that. He's trying to chase the monkey. And it's just
Mm-hmm.
like he's death is missing him constantly.
Mm-hmm.
Has this dumb luck. But then there are little parts in the movies where he kind of knows that he has dumb luck, you know, and he'll get in some situations that are like, how are you going to get out of this? He's like, oh, you know, he just always does. And a lot of
Yeah.
times he doesn't plan it. But what you
Listen.
said, like expect things to go your way. It's like, what if that's all it is? Don't try to
Mm-hmm.
make it go your way. Don't try to make it go your way. Just expect it.
Mm-hmm. And you never know how it's going to fold out, but
Uh-huh.
I'm going to expect it to go my way. I'm going to
Yeah.
expect it to actually be good. I'm going to
Yeah.
expect it to,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I
Yeah.
don't know, but it's going to work
Interesting.
out.
It's better than the alternative, expecting things to be bad. What is that horrible, awful saying? Expect the hope for the best, expect the worst, or something like that. Prepare for the worst, expect the.
Yeah.
It's just like silly. That's like don't have any hope whatsoever.
Don't do it.
Makes hope seem like a complete fantasy, like it's impossible.
Mm.
It's so silly. I had that conversation with that one lady a couple of years ago, a little confrontation in my office, and she said, I don't remember what she said. I said something like, "Yeah, I hope so." And she said, "She goes, she and I rolled her eyes. She goes, people can hope all day, but what does that do?" I'm like, "Oh, and you're all posting pictures of you going to church and claiming to be this, but like you discount hope to that level where you scoff at it."
Mm.
It's like, Jesus, that's sad. But
I literally thought, what pain trapped you that
yeah,
hard
I
that
know.
you can't see?
Well, the Bible talks about it so valuably, you know. I just can't understand. the level of discount it like is the religion a is that a mask for you to where you can meet other people? Like, is that all that is? Is just a like a layer of clothing or a badge or something? It's like you're missing the whole like concept of it or depth of it or whatever to just discount
Mm-hmm.
it that way. But
Yeah.
hope is it's a really formidable thing. It really
I
is.
think it's so foreign. I'll
Yeah.
say that. I think thinking with
Hmm.
hope is so foreign
Yeah.
because the brain is programmed to believe worst case scenario.
Yeah.
The brain, the soul experience, you take what has happened to you and then you apply it as this is now the rule of thumb
Yeah.
versus taking, that was a big question that I asked everybody
Hmm.
when I was a senior in high school. I was hooked on it and I couldn't get rid of it.
Yeah.
I was like, I asked everybody, why is it easier to believe a lie than it is to believe the truth?
Yeah.
Like that was a question that was hooked on me.
Mm. Yeah.
And nobody could give me a real answer.
Sure.
Um, but I think the reality is because people would rather live in a familiar hell than an unfamiliar heaven.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, like, believing and hoping for something feels so unfamiliar that the
Yeah.
body is like, I can't do that. Like,
Yeah.
I'm living in hell, but at least I know this hell.
Yeah.
At least I know the anxiety that I carry every single day. And at least I know the rhythm or the routine of,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
whatever, the comfort and the safety of the familiar hell.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. Well, I heard somebody recently say that it starts off as things happen that scare you. There's like trauma or wounds or whatever happen that scare you, and especially when it's early on, then that becomes your. I guess if it's unhealed,
Mm-hmm.
then you carry that, then something else happens, and that one's unhealed, and then before you know it, your worldview is fear. Everything
Totally.
is seen through a lens of fear of like what is the worst thing that could happen. Doesn't matter what it is. You could have a birthday party and have some balloons, and it's like, oh, what if that pops and somebody, my dog chokes on it and he dies, and then it's everything becomes
Hyper
that.
vigilant.
It doesn't matter what it is. Yeah, it's like if I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna go fishing, it's like, oh, what if I trip and fall into the? It's just something silly like that, or what if a honey badger comes out and chews my leg off, and just crazy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But that becomes your whole view of it. I guess. I mean, I guess it
How
has
do you,
to start from small ones or whatever, moments.
yeah, how do you balance? Because I've talked to several people about this over the last week. How do you balance hope, living in hope, and not denying the reality of something around you?
I think I think I just have to
You know
hope
what I mean?
some
Like,
yeah. Well, hope is a choice sometimes. Uh and I've gotten to a place I don't like, and even if this does happen to me sometimes when I can center back into it, I don't like the idea of humans getting pulled around by circumstances.
mm-hmm.
I hate that. But the good thing about that is when something bad happens, it's not hopeful or not what I hoped for. There is a place to grow in there. There's a place to grow in that. It's to not like I'm not going to be sideswiped by this if it happens. Or if it's almost a badge of honor, if something really horrific happens to me, then you can showcase Christianity in those
Mm-hmm.
moments. If this big injustice happens to you, where you get a flat tire and somebody drives by and gives you the middle finger and spits on you, whatever. Like that kind of stuff is like showcase Christianity. It's like that bishop that we invited on here that got stabbed in the eye on TV. That Muslim
Mm-hmm.
dude ran up and tried to murder him, and he like
Mm-hmm.
prayed for him a moment after and then publicly forgave him.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if worst case scenario happens, there's something in there. It's like
Hmm.
Christianity. It's like living water. We can flow into any crevice or crack anywhere, anything that happens. Like there's a way to move through it and in it.
Do you think there's ever a space where people are like, well, you're in denial, like almost that pendulum swing of kind of being so religious that you're just like
I think
in
that can
absolute
happen.
denial?
I think that can happen, but you can't, whenever something bad does happen to you, I think not denying it, like, yeah, that was an injustice, but I'm going to choose not to be a victim to it.
Hmm.
I think that's where the difference is because you can acknowledge, you can totally acknowledge it, you know? Like somebody can totally do you wrong and it's nasty and they deserve like vengeance or whatever. But when you take that and it's like, yeah, they totally, you know, totally stab me in the back or whatever. But I'm not gonna act on that. When
Do you
you
feel like
choose it,
that's do you
no,
feel like that's a heart well, I was just gonna ask, do you feel like that's a heart posture of how people navigate that?
yeah, yeah, I think so. I think so. And that goes back to the whole cross stuff, seeing Jesus do it and realizing that there is a higher reality than anything that can happen on this earth. And there's a guy that I've seen, he'll post stuff like, how could God do this, this, and this? You know, like F God, that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
There's a couple of people I've seen say, they'll say stuff like that, like, well, whatever. If he's so good, why does he let this happen and this happen? And I'm like, maybe maybe the ultimate grid in your mind is death. Maybe that's as far as that goes. And so whenever somebody dies, that's the ultimate end for you. Like it's so much bigger than that even.
Hmm.
The true reality is so much more than this, and then somebody dies or gets hurt or something like that. Even in some of the most awful, horrendous ways, it's like that is terrible. But heaven, everything is so much more than that,
Hmm.
than torture, even. I mean, there's just like some horrible things, but there's even a bigger perspective to have than that. And that's
Hmm.
hard to comprehend. I don't even fully comprehend it sometimes, but um, yeah, it's a heart posture for sure.
I think for me, like a key about not living in denial, right? I don't know. I always think of like living in denial as hyper religious,
Yeah,
where they're like, "Oh, I know the Lord's gonna do it. The Lord's gonna do it. Oh, yes, yes, He is."
yeah,
Like, but you can literally feel like, bro, that is some crazy energy you're carrying. Like,
yeah,
you don't believe that for a minute,
yeah,
um, or you like want to believe it, but your
hmm
heart is hurting. You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
which is I
well,
think such an interesting place
yeah,
where like your heart is wanting to believe something,
yeah,
but your body doesn't resonate with that. So it's
uh-huh,
almost like your body is in denial
yeah.
because the heart and mind coherence isn't there.
hmm I think it's good
And
to express it though. I think it definitely you're
hmm
supposed to express that.
yeah,
Believe the hope, but express if you're feeling the pain, is like David in the Psalms, like express your heart, that kind of thing for sure.
I think you can have hope and express the pain or
Yeah,
the fear or the I don't think you can have hope until that fear is expressed.
yeah,
You know what I mean? It's
yeah,
almost like
man.
that's the progression.
Well, look at the cross again. It's like I know it was a fulfillment of scripture, but even him saying like, "Father, why have you forsaken me?" right before the everything cracks, even him just
Hmm.
saying that is obviously a callback to, you know, callback in a fulfillment of that prophecy or whatever. But
But if
yeah,
you think about it, that's kind of the actual process that people go through right before their breakthrough.
yeah, that's true. That is true.
Is that they actually have to acknowledge, I feel forsaken here,
Yes. Yep.
which is the actual fear, what prevents people from being able to even hope.
Yep.
Is like they actually have to acknowledge, I feel forsaken, I feel abandoned by you.
Yeah.
And then when you can acknowledge that and
Yep.
fully believe that and fully release that out of your body
Yeah.
with a
That's
great
true.
cry, things rip from top to bottom.
That's
Heaven
true.
opens up for you. Hope is there.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think there's,
Sometimes people got to get to the end of that rope. Yeah.
yeah,
Sometimes they
they
do.
got
True.
they got to walk through that.
For themselves. Yeah.
That was. Did I ever tell? I don't know if I shared that dream that I had here about how I was going to get my doctorate.
I don't think so.
I did I share that dream?
I don't think so.
I graduated in this dream. I had graduated with my master's, and I was going to get my doctorate. And I like literally, I was like lining up to sit in this row, and
Yeah.
they were like, "Hey, I just want you to know that your doctorate is going to be focused on suicide.
Hmm.
Basically, you're going to have to suicide."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Dude, I don't know if I can do that. Like,
Yeah.
I can't crucify myself." Like,
Hmm.
that's literally what I was saying.
Yeah.
And I go and I sit down. I was given my assigned seat, and I was sitting next to this man named David. He had these crazy dreadlocks,
Hmm.
but he was out of his mind,
Yeah.
literally out of his mind. And I just kept looking at him like, holy crap, I'm going to look like that.
Yeah.
That's what I kept saying in the dream. Like, after I go through my doctorate, I'm going to look like that because he had his
Yeah.
doctorate.
Huh.
And I was just like, he's out of his freaking mind. He's absolutely out of his freaking mind.
Yeah.
But he just looked at me with like these crazy eyes. But it was like he
Huh.
was looking into my soul.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I can actually do this. And I think the fear of actually crucifying yourself
Yeah.
is so, I mean, that's what I walked through,
Yeah.
you know? I'm just like, the fear of crucifying what you believe to be you
Yeah.
is so scary.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Death. Yeah.
mhm.
Hmm.
It's a literal death. Like, you actually have to reckon yourself dead
Yeah.
to your old ways, to your
Yeah.
old habits, to your old thoughts.
Yeah. It's true. Huh.
And you can't be religious in it.
Yeah. 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 You
You
got to be
actually have to lose
authentic
your mind.
to
Yeah.
authentically lose it. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. It's true. Can't fake that one.
No.
Hmm.
But every time I come up against a situation where I'm like, okay, I gotta like reckon myself dead to my old ways,
Yeah.
I think of that crazy man,
Hmm. Interesting.
David.
Yeah.
Yeah, which David really means beloved.
Yeah.
Like,
Huh.
when you know that you are loved by God,
Yeah.
like, you can be out of your mind.
Yeah.
You can literally
Yeah.
reckon yourself dead and be absolutely out of your mind. Meaning,
Yeah.
like, you don't even have to think the same thoughts.
Yeah.
I think that's a big thing too, is like your thought patterns become different, period.
Yeah. Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
The way you think, the way you interpret life, the way that you're engaging with things, the way that you're engaging with people, like, your thoughts literally become different.
Yeah. Yeah. Rewires the whole thing.
Hmm.
Yeah. Hmm. It's good.
Anyways,
It's good. Cool. You have anything else? I think
no, I went on my little tangent.
that's a good tangent. We didn't know. I mean, when we first arrived, it's like, what are we talking about today? I don't know. Good.
Yeah. The first star is out tonight. It's beautiful.
Oh, cool.
I love sitting out underneath the stars.
Yeah. It's healthy. I'm not underneath the stars right now.
You're underneath some blue light.
I am. Yeah. Yeah, I guess it technically is blue light.
Is that your house?
This is my office, yeah, right here.
Hmm.
My I took some lights that I usually use out of here and I built a this whole I'm still working on this movie and there's this I'll write new stuff in it. And I'm like, "Oh, that would add so much to the story or whatever." And I wrote
Hmm.
this scene where there's an apartment, this little old rundown apartment. It's like, where am I going to go? I could make a bunch of phone calls and I have to get people to sign a waiver saying I can, use it in a movie and stuff like that. But I thought, well, I probably have enough stuff laying around here. I can just build a set in my garage and make an
Hmm.
apartment and light it the right way and just shoot it, use some trickery and illusions and stuff like that. And so one of our lamps is in the garage. There's a little TV in there, and it looks like a apartment. I got a little picture on here. I'll show you real quick.
That's funny, dude.
If I can find it on here. I thought I had it. But yeah, it was fun though. It was a fun project. It's like, I wonder if we could actually pull this off. Where is it? Oh yeah, here it is. Here it is. Well, never mind. You can't hardly see it. Anyways, that's where that
cool,
light bulb that's in that lamp over there is in that room. So, anyways, cool.
Flipping awesome.
Yeah, fun stuff.
Oh yeah. All right, guys. Well, we'll see y'all next time.
Bye, y'all.
If you enjoyed this episode of the Ancient Way podcast, drop us a like, share with your friends, share with your family. And if you'd like to support us and what we are doing, and you would like to play a direct role in our growth and things that we do in the future,
we have a donation spot at the bottom of our show notes. So you can click on that, give however much you want. We appreciate absolutely everything. We appreciate our listeners. And everybody that's already come alongside and encouraged us, and even everybody that's been on our show. So thanks, guys.